Selling can be simpler than we sometimes make it. And in this episode, I'm chatting with Lauren Diana Scalf about building a flexible suite of offers, setting up small but mighty systems behind the scenes, and creating pathways to sell those offers on autopilot that feel good for you and your clients. Welcome to the Soulful Sales Show, where we talk about believing in the value of your offers, getting them in front of your right people, and selling more of what you do in your unique way. Hi, and welcome back to the Soulful Sales Show. Today, I have a guest on. I am chatting with Lauren Diana, an intuitive business coach, strategist, and online educator, all about one of my favorite topics, which is creating a clear offer ecosystem that makes selling feel natural and easy. Lauren has over 20 years of experience in business, marketing, and technology. Certified in business strategy and launch management, she runs Soul Empowered, her coaching and education platform for purpose-driven entrepreneurs, and hosts the Online Business AMA podcast, where I am soon to be a guest, and where she shares practical insights for sustainable online growth. This episode is for you if you have ever felt trapped at the thought of having to create one signature program. We talk about mapping out your ecosystem of offers around a core transformation, using simple systems to take people on a journey through all of those offers, and letting mini funnels do the heavy lifting without losing your soul in the process, and in a way that is supportive of limited time and energy as well. Hi, Lauren. I'm so happy to have you on the podcast, and people loved your presentation in my Aligned AI Summit, so that I knew I wanted to invite you on the podcast as well. But we're here to talk about something a bit different, which is creating an offer ecosystem and systems that help you sell more easily. So let's dive in with big question. What is an offer ecosystem? What does it look like?
Um, well, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm really glad that everyone enjoyed my talk at the summit. As far as an offer ecosystem, this can look different for a variety of businesses, but what I feel it means to me, and I think you can probably agree with this because I think you kind of have a similar approach to your business, is having a suite of offers that help your clients and don't make you feel like you're kind of pigeonholed into doing like one specific thing. So there's lots of programs out there where it's like one big huge thing and that's what the person sells and that's their main, money maker. Example, I guess, would be like B school. And like I don't have a problem with that, but to me it always felt super restrictive. I have ADHD. I'm highly creative. I can't focus on one thing. I also, in my past life, was a trainer and I've been in business and marketing for a long time. So I have a lot of knowledge that I want to share. So being able to have kind of a full suite of offers that not only gives me some variety, but also gives my customers some variety is what I feel works best for me. Um, I have a tool called my 7-figure offer creator, and it basically helps you kind of map out what that ecosystem could look like. And in that, I talk about what I call my upside down umbrella method. So if you think of an umbrella that's upside down, right, you have kind of the umbrella part there at the bottom. And I kind of think of that as like the main housing for all of my offers. And then if you think of kind of like the pole of the umbrella, that is kind of like your main transformation. And so for some people, that could ultimately lead to one of those big, full solution type products. But for me, I think of it more as like, what is the end goal that I want my clients to have? Not so much specific, like, create a funnel that helps you sell whatever, but more of like, I want my people to be able to create a successful online business that allows them to live more of a freedom based lifestyle and basically allows them to do whatever they want whenever they want. So that's kind of like my main goal for everything that I do. And that's kind of the foundation there, the pole, and then everything just kind of leads up from there. But having that kind of upside down umbrella there at the bottom gives me the opportunity to have a variety of different things that solve multiple problems. And I think now, especially with people's attention span and learning overwhelm, and just, I feel like after COVID, things kind of shifted in a lot of spaces. And being able to have smaller offers that I think solve one specific problem is something that really appeals to people right now, because they don't have the time energy, and in many cases the money to drop on like, a $5,000 program that does all the things when they're really only trying to maybe get, two steps ahead and do one specific thing. So that's kind of what offer ecosystem means to me.
I love that. I love that explanation. Thank you so much. And I definitely agree. It feels easier in current times to market
Yes.
a really specific offer with a specific outcome. And definitely some, like I've always struggled to have like one signature offer. Like that's never been my vibe, never been the way that I want to run my business, although clearly it does work for some people who are really
Hmm.
focused in that way. But at the same time, I've also really struggled sometimes to put boundaries around my smaller offers because I know that, okay, I want to help them with this specific thing, but in order to do that specific thing, they need that other thing or they need to know this other thing. Have you experienced the same? And like, how do you define the outcome of your individual offers in the ecosystem?
Yeah, I definitely come across that. And what I try to do is kind of offer supplemental pieces as needed so that if there is certain cases where like I know they're going to ask this question, or know that they maybe need some more guidance, I'll either, if I already have an offer that solves that, I'll make sure I include that information in there so that they can purchase it if they want, or I'll offer like smaller supplemental pieces that are enough to satisfy the need that they have. So, if I can go back to my 7-figure offer creator again, I bring that up because I literally just like revamped the whole thing and ran a flash sale on it last week. But there's pieces in there. So the point of that is to help you create your offer suite, right? But one key piece people may not have, but they definitely need in order to get a good result from that is understanding their ideal client. So I include my ideal client clarity creator with that as well, which is a freebie that I offer already, but just making sure that I reference that in there and say like, hey, make sure you're super clear on this first, because in order to get a good result from the offer creator, you really need to know your ideal client front to back, or you're going to get an output that isn't going to resonate, or you're probably not going to be happy with it. So I just kind of try to balance it where I can. And I always try, I was a trainer for many years and I taught digital marketing to car dealerships. And so this was typically older white men that have like zero experience in marketing or technology, right? So I got very used to kind of like seeing the questions I thought people would ask or where they would have hangups or where there would be blockers. So I think I have a little bit of a benefit on that end, but I just kind of try and reverse engineer and think like what is the question going to come up? What is going to prevent them from getting the ultimately good result that I want them to get from my product? And then just kind of, sprinkle those things in as needed.
Yeah, and I think like the way that you've described it, if you're going to do this, you need to have this part down. Firstly, it's okay not to cover all the parts in one offer because that is what makes it overwhelming both for us to create and confusing for us to market and then overwhelming for people to go through. It's okay to direct them to other places, but also it leads on to the benefit of having this ecosystem, which is that people come in and they make their journey around the ecosystem, depending on what they need at what time. So
Hmm.
it's kind of different from a traditional funnel, right? Because there's different
Yeah.
things for people to pick and choose from. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
So I actually like that because in terms of like funnels and things like that, and I'm kind of revamping my own stuff right now. I kind of took some stuff out and I have some new stuff that I'm bringing in. But when it comes to kind of, and Elizabeth Goddard talks about this in her Silver Moon sales system, is kind of like swirling people, into your business. And having all those kind of different offers, I think is more helpful because if you're selling one thing, you can have something else that complements it as a tripwire or an offer bump. And that helps increase your sales as well. And also gives, again, the opportunity for people to just keep kind of swirling around in your nebula and learning what they need from you at any given time. Um, I know for myself, just, like offers that you have, offers that Elizabeth Goddard has, Sage Grayson is another good example of this as well. Like I like that because I like how they teach and I like how I learn from those things. And so lots of times if I am myself coming up with like, oh, you know what, I need to learn more about this, or I want to see how someone is doing this, I just go to those people and see like, do they offer something that would fit that? And then, it gives me an opportunity to I it's almost kind of like, when you go to a library and you're trying to find the answer, right? So I go to these people, see what they have, and go from there. And already being in their ecosystem is helpful because lots of times you might, get an additional bonus or discount or something because you're already a customer of theirs. But like I said, having that variety, I think gives us an opportunity for more sales and more growth because we can just link all those things together and have a variety of journeys that our customer can go down and learn and see what we have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess the way I see it in my business is there's not one main funnel. There's like loads of
Mhm.
little mini funnels, like coming from
Yeah.
this route on this topic, and then there's a tripwire and an offer here and an all bump there, and then or you can come in a different way and there's a different way in. I love it. And it's kind of fun. Like
Yeah.
I find it fun to set up all of these mini funnels in my business. It doesn't leave all the pressure on any one offer as well, which I really like.
Yeah, and I mean, like we talked about at the beginning, I have a lot of chronic health issues and it really limits my capacity to get things done because some days I wake up and I just am like, no. And so me trying to have one giant signature offer that I'm launching once or twice a year is just really overwhelming and really energy draining. And I need things to run as automated as possible so that I don't ever have to worry about it. So once those things are set up, I typically don't ever have to change them unless I want to, update some copy or change a price or something like that. So once it's done, which is also really helpful. And that's one of the kind of the main pillars in my business is like how can we make things as simple and easy as possible so that it's not so much of a stressor for you all the time because whether you have chronic health issues or you have a family, like people just do not have time for things anymore. So it's like, I like to make things as easy and simple as possible.
I totally agree. I'm totally on board with that. So let's talk about that a bit. What are some of the systems? And I know that for some people listening, like they're going to be at all different kinds of stages of this. And you might be hearing about the ecosystem and thinking, oh, how do I even get there? But it's all layered on one step at a time, right? What are some examples of these systems that you have set up for these more automated sales to come in that afford you, like that take more off of your plate?
So anytime I create something, you know, first I like to tell people, I've been doing this a long time. So just because I have something set up the way that I have it set up doesn't mean that you have to. Just start with one thing at a time and everything will slowly grow from there. Like, don't feel like you have to come up with 10 different things and create, 10 different funnels in the course of like 2 months or something like that. It will just slowly grow as you create things. For myself, I ran a marketing agency for a long time. So I've used all the platforms, all the different systems. Um, I ultimately settled on a go high level white label simply because the cost was just unbeatable compared to everything else. And what I really liked about that is it gives me the opportunity to create as many funnels as I want, but also have a lot of automations. And so I can set up automations that if someone purchases something, they get the emails, then I can, 30 days later check in, ask for a review, recommend some other products. In all of my course areas as well, I recommend other products and I encourage them to like fill in an onboarding form and things like that. And all of those things seem overwhelming if you're thinking about doing them all at one time. But as you just slowly add that stuff in, it ultimately creates that big ecosystem so you don't have to worry about it. And even like with my funnels and things like that, I try to make sure everything has an offer bump. I try to make sure everything has a tripwire. And I also have a final thank you page that everyone goes to that also has an offer on it. And, at the end of the day, some of it may be repetitive, but that's kind of the point
Yeah.
because once people start going through your things or whether they found me through, I don't know, my website or the podcast or because I was in a bundle or something or a summit, they're going to keep seeing those things. And so it's just, again, another way to kind of continue marketing to those people as they see things repetitively. So, like I said, don't feel like you have to do it all at once. Just focus on one thing at a time. And over time, that will all build up. And don't feel like you need to buy like all the things. But at the end of the day, if you're someone like me that's like, I know I have chronic health issues. I know that my family's going to take up a lot of time. I know that whatever the reason is, I would rather put a little bit more money up front so that I can have these pieces in place so that I'm not having to redo it later. But that's just me. I don't want people to feel like they have to do all the things because they don't. It takes time to build all this up. So always just kind of ask yourself, is this something that I know is going to be long term and I don't want to have to deal with it later? Or am I just trying to get this up so I can get this offer out in the world? So, just some things to think about when you're doing that.
Yeah, super helpful. I love what you said about repetitiveness as well. I think a lot of us fall into the trap. I certainly did earlier on in my business where you put an offer out there and you do the launch and you assume everyone knows about it. And then it's just on your website, ready for people to find, but people aren't finding it and people aren't signing up to it. We have to tell people about our offers multiple times, whether that's weaving them into our existing offers, having them as the tripwires, order bumps, having evergreen sequences that sell them, all of this stuff. It's so important that we talk about things multiple times, and people who even saw it the first time may not have been ready for whatever reason, and then they're ready
Yeah.
when they're ready.
Yeah, totally. And I'm really bad with that too. I'm finally kind of getting better with it. But yeah, I don't remember what the numbers were, but I feel like at this point it's like people have to see your stuff like
Mhm.
7 or 9 times before they're ready to buy. So, and again, that's why it's important to kind of like have all those different touch points of tripwires and offer bumps and emails and inside the course itself and things like that because it just, you know, it's like when you're watching TV or, you're on Prime and you see the same commercial every single episode. It's like the same commercial over and over. And then by the end of it, you're like, do I have this disease? Do I need this drug? Because you've seen that commercial so many times. So, I'm not saying that I'm trying to, push an offer down a throat someone doesn't need, but the points there that you really got to see something multiple times before it really kind of sinks in, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And my opinion is when you said like you're not pushing something down their throat, but they have to see it multiple times, is if we know that we can help people with our offers, then we want them to be aware of it, right?
Right.
And I
Right.
think one of the objections that some of the people in my world have, like really heart-led, values-led business owners have, is that it feels a bit soulless to them, like having things on autopilot. What would you say to those people?
It only feels like that because you're insecure about yourself and what you're offering. It has nothing to do with the people because I've had offers that I've sold that are worth a few thousand, and I've had offers that are worth like $10, and I've had people have immense transformations from just a tiny offer that was $10, more so than maybe someone who purchased $1,000 program. Not that either one is bad, but it's just it met that person where they were at that time, solving the need that they have. And you got into this because you want to help people, and that's why you care so much, but you can't help people if no one knows about anything and it doesn't, they don't know it exists. um, so it's not really about them, it's more about you. And if there are people that get annoyed by your launch emails or whatever, they can just unsubscribe. Like, it doesn't matter.
I totally agree. I like what you said about an offer helping someone because it meets them where they are at when they need it. And if you're just doing two launches a year, that's a lot less chance to meet the person where they're at when they need it. Not like if that is
Right.
the business model for you, great. But if that doesn't suit your nervous system or your health or whatever, then having these different ways for people to come in and meet them where they're at when they need it, I think is the best way of looking at it.
Yeah.
And speaking of like nervous system and health and all of this stuff. In the Aligned AI Summit, you spoke about using AI to support a lot of it was to support your mind and your feelings and all of that stuff. What's the role of AI when it comes to these kind of sales automations in your ecosystem?
Um, I use it a lot to help me kind of like make sure I'm not forgetting something because I do that. I think we get so close to something that we'll be like, "Oh, this is obvious," because it's obvious to us, but it not isn't always obvious to, our customer. So I will like kind of be like, "This is what I'm talking about, and this is everything that's in there. Is there anything that I'm missing?" And so it'll like give me some ideas of like, "Oh, maybe you should talk more about this, or you said this, but you should really also mention that." I find it really helpful for that, and I also find it helpful to rein me back in because I definitely have a little bit of autism, so I will just like garbage
Yes.
stuff out, and it can be really like verbose and sometimes like I don't want to say like overly technical, but it's just like a lot. And so I use that to kind of like help rein myself back in or make my I feel like I have like issues like speaking clearly or like describing things clearly. um, I will just kinda, like, rattle on, and then I need AI to, like, help me condense it and make it clearer.
I relate so much to that. Like I've always said to my clients, like I am not good at writing short emails because I talk about email marketing a lot. And using AI for like, I created my own email assistant that's trained on my emails, even the long ones, and like how I want them to sound and my voice and things like that. But I also use it to help me cut things down and like, right, I've got three
Mhm.
paragraphs. How can I say this in one? And it's so
Yeah,
helpful. I feel like my
yeah,
writing has become much more to the point. I do think like sometimes the output from AI actually isn't to the point. Like it can be quite vague sometimes. But if you train it right, you can actually use it as a tool for some of your, I want to say shortcomings. I don't necessarily think they're shortcomings, but you know what I mean. Some of your challenges or the things that you want
yeah,
to do differently is super, super
yeah,
helpful. Do you have any of
definitely.
your own AI team members that you've trained that you use?
I have so many custom GPTs that I've built, but honestly, lately, since they updated to GPT-5, I've kind of struggled a bit, so I need to kinda retrain some of those, and then actually, what was most helpful for me is I went through a program with Gemma Went, and I cannot remember what it was called for the life of me. But at the end of it, we created what's called a success manual. So it's like my business vision, my values, my goals, like all the offers I have, my ideal client, like everything about me. And I use that a lot as like a reference point for what I need to create. So I find that's really helpful for things. Um, but as far as anything that's like more automated on that end, I haven't yet. I just haven't done it. Honestly, haven't had time to do it. But what I usually do is I just write whatever it is I want to say, and then I will put it into Chat GPT to help me like condense it or make it more clear. I am really sarcastic and I make a lot of jokes. I don't know if you're on my email list or not, but my latest obsession is K-pop. I got into K-pop several months ago. So now every email I send has some sort of K-pop reference. So I have ChatGPT help me like rein that in because I'll just make really stupid comments and I'm just like, people probably think I'm so weird. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? I don't care because I want the people that appreciate that I'm a K-pop weirdo.
Yeah, exactly. I actually love that. Is there anything else that you would love to share with someone who is at the early stages and doesn't have this ecosystem of offers yet, doesn't have these automations yet? What do you want them to know about getting this set up for themselves?
It seems overwhelming and it doesn't have to be. I pushed myself really, really hard for a really, really long time. And the harder I pushed, the less progress I made. And I'm talking like 10 years of this. Only the past like year or so have I finally just said, like, I don't care. And then once I did that, things got a lot easier. So just because you see us talking about this or you see so and so doing whatever, don't feel like you have to do all those things at once. Things can happen in the timing that works for you. And if you're just getting started and you still haven't even like figured out what your offers are, things like that, focus on who your ideal client is and what you want that ultimate goal in your business for them to be. And I don't mean like, one signature offer. I mean, like when a client comes to you and they've worked with you, how do you want them to feel at the end of it? Do you want them to feel successful, relieved? Do you want them to have clarity and like focus on that? And then you can kind of work backwards on like, okay, what are the products and services that I can offer that's going to help my client get those? And just start, one at a time, figuring out what those things are and slowly dripping those things out and just focus on talking about it and telling people about it, whether that's, through social or collaborations, whatever ads, whatever works best for you. Um, I think, especially when people are like wanting to start a business, usually it's because they're unhappy with something else, whether they want to make more money or they work a job that they hate. And that creates an urgency. But I promise if you just like release that and just let it happen, things will be so much more smooth and so much more successful for you. And it will happen when it's supposed to happen.
Oh, such great advice. Thank you so much. I'm just going to ask you three quick fire questions to wrap up the interview. So, the first one is beyond financial success, what impact do you want to have in the world through your work?
I want people to feel empowered. That's why I named my business Soul Empowered, because I want people to do things that empower their soul, whether that is running their own business or feeling like they have the courage to go and do whatever it is they want. I want people to have the resources and capacity to wake up every day and say, I'm going to do whatever the heck I want today. And that's how I'm going to live my life every day. So for me, that's running my own business and teaching other people how to run their own business so that they have the freedom to do those kind of things.
Love it. Question two is if you could give a message of encouragement to past you early in your business journey, what would that be?
I don't think we have enough time for all of that, but I would say the biggest thing, like I just referenced, is like just stop pushing so hard. It's hard when you have a lot of goals and a lot of ambition, but you can't always keep up, whether that's physically or mentally or just outside sources. Just stop pushing and just let what needs to happen happen in
Mm,
its own divine timing.
yeah. And finally, what does soulful selling mean to you?
Doing it in a way that doesn't feel like it's smothering you, where you're just doing things in a way that feel easy and happy and aligned, and you're not feeling like you have to, do things in a certain way because so and so bro marketer funnel guy said that you need this, this, and this, or you got to do all these crazy ads and show up on like every single social channel and do like tons of whatever. Like just whatever makes sense for you and feels aligned and easy for you is what that should be. I don't know if I explained that in a good way.
No, I totally get it. Thank you so much, Lauren. I love this chat. And if you want to find out more about Lauren and her work, you can find her website at laurendiana.me, Instagram at soul.empowered.lauren, and get her free ideal client clarity creator at laurendiana.me/ideal. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Soulful Sales. If you have a moment to rate and review, know that it really does make a difference. And if you'd like to carry on the conversation, then you can connect with me on Instagram at Ruth Poundwhite, sign up to my newsletter at ruthpoundwhite.com/newsletter, or my personal favorite, join me inside the low ticket membership at ruthpoundwhite.com/membership. And keep doing what you're doing because your work really does matter.